Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Court Reporters Cafe. This is Kim. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey of finding out more about court reporting and what all is involved in it and how we can keep the human experience a part of that as well. This week, I'm going to be joined by Lisa Raghuthaman. She is a firm owner in Texas, in the Houston area. She is a court reporter herself, a voice writer, and she hires both voice and machine. So I think this has been a huge year for Lisa. I got to meet her for the first time in San Antonio, and all I remember is this great dress with great cowboy boots, and it was purple, and she was flashy and just my type of gal. Very sweet, very willing to help out as much as she can. She jumped on a plane and headed to Colorado to help us out with some testing and just never, ever asked for anything in return. So I wanted to put a spotlight on her for her efforts, what she's done for both NVRA and for the court reporting community in general. She is on fire, and I believe we're only going to hear more from her as the years go by. So join me with sitting down and listening to another silent voice for court reporting, someone who is going to help make those voices not so silent anymore, and to make people understand that we are all court reporters. So sit back and enjoy, grab a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, whatever you need to just sit back and relax and listen to what Lisa has to give to this wonderful career that we have. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
All rise.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey, Kim, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great.
Have a busy week this week so far?
Yes, always,
Yeah,
always trying to juggle everything.
but you're home now, right?
Yes, home now, for
Good.
sure.
Well, I appreciate you coming on here so much to talk to people about what it is that you do, where you do it at, and what you look for. I just like to have your insights on these things. I'm not a freelancer, so I love hearing how things go because there might be a time that I am one. So I got to get my shit together and figure out what to do. So why don't we just start off with you telling people, where you live, how you got into this industry, where you're at now, and then we'll just go from there.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Thank you for having me on here, Kim. My name is Lisa Raghuthaman. I am in Houston, Texas, and I have been in the court reporting industry since the late 90s, actually. Kind of fell into it by chance. I didn't even know what court reporting was. Started working for a litigation support company and then went to machine school for a couple of years, kind of got stuck at a speed, started having kids and quit. But I maintained working in the industry the entire time. And so I was developing all of that knowledge of the office and operations and things like that. And then I moved out to marketing. And once I got my own client base, I decided, well, yeah, I already got the office side. Now I've got clients. Went out on my own and, started a firm. And we do freelance depositions, videography, pretty much all of that. And I mean, my state has been experiencing shortages for a long time. I've seen a lot of changes happen over 25 years. And I really wanted to get more involved and I wanted to advocate more. And I thought, I need to become a court reporter. It's so funny. All of these years, I was like, No, people are like, why aren't you being a court reporter? I was like, I don't want to be a court reporter. They work too hard. So
Should have
no
listened, huh?
truer words ever spoken in my
I
life.
know. I know.
So, but I'm like, you know what? I want to be legit and I want to be taken serious. And I want to get out here and try to make a difference and advocate for what I believe is fair and right. And so I did. I jumped back on it and got certified, and now I'm trying to juggle that and the firm side.
How many court reporters do you have working for you?
So everybody's freelance, 1099 contractors,
Hmm.
but we have established relationships with court reporters that we've worked with for years, even
Hmm.
before I went out and had my own firm. Knew them, and so we have about 10 to 12 like steady reporters that take a lot of our work, the majority of it. But we get assignments, everywhere. Our clients, they have offices nationally and things like that. So we do have networking partners around the US that we work with as well.
Now, do say you've got a client in California and they want to do something remotely. Does your reporter, I know you are, because your certifications are what? You have your Texas CSR.
Texas CSR, California CSR, and the CVR.
Okay, so would you have to have that California CSR in order to do a deposition remotely in
Yes,
California?
absolutely.
I see.
California has, each state has their own rules, but California is definitely, very strict about their rules and the integrity of that. And so, they've updated, new rules to mandate stating your CSR number on the record.
Right, right.
Make sure you are a legit licensed California certified shorthand reporter.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're on the up and up, you shouldn't be afraid to do any of
Right.
that stuff, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, would you go back and change anything and just stay on the business end of it, or do you feel it's better for you to be in the trenches too?
I inevitably, like the second week I was actually out taking depositions on my own, I got slammed with like three expedites back to back. And I was just stomping out in my kitchen, like, this is why I didn't want to become a reporter, you know.
Yeah,
But honestly, I love it. I love being able to see my clients from a different aspect, right? Because
right.
they've been my clients for years. Like I said, many of them before I even went out on my own.
Hmm.
And, I never would be able to do the depositions with them, or, I would, on the marketing side, I would come to their office with lunches and just different things like that. But, I never really got to work with them on that side of it. And also to have the fellowship in a different way with court reporters, because I will tell you some of my very best, truest, longest friends in my whole life I have been court reporters and are court reporters.
Hmm.
And, they're just amazing people. And so, no, I wouldn't change that. And I
Good.
thought to myself, why didn't you do this sooner? Honestly, of course, right?
Well, you're able to pick up if somebody's sick, if somebody's whatever, and you don't want to let that client down, you can step in and take care of that.
Right. Yes,
Right? Yeah, because I think
absolutely.
I think that's one of the reasons why a friend of ours went through this, Bonnie Ruffin, was she was able to go ahead and step in and do that side of it as well if need
Right.
be. Yeah.
Dang.
That makes good money.
Coverage for your clients when you're desperate
Right.
for coverage and shortages, you're like, well, double me up if I can double up.
Right, right. And it just makes sense, I think, monetarily to be that person that it's your business. You're the one that writes the checks. You're the ones that, have to make sure everything's going good. And you also get to see those clients that maybe you hear about
Yes.
that don't treat you right. Okay, they're not treating my people.
100%.
Yeah. Mhm.
You are
What are
so
you
right.
what are you able to do about that? Are you able to say,
Oh,
"Look."
Kim, let me tell you something. After being in this industry so long, I'm also married to an attorney, so they don't really scare me.
Yeah, yeah,
When
yeah.
I was new and a baby and all these things, yes, I was intimidated and all this. But I will tell you, I stand up for my court reporters. I stand up for myself. I have flat out told my clients, you know, well, no, I'm sorry. They don't want to have to pay for a rough driver. They have this, whatever the situation is.
Right, right.
My court reporters call me and they're like, hey, your client is saying this. I immediately address those kinds of things because
Oh, good.
no, we're all professionals here and you expect me and my court reporters to be professionals. Well, the expectation is there as well. And so, I've had some crazy stories over the years. I have had court reporters call me on lunch breaks crying.
Mm.
I mean, it's just insane. And so it's not necessary. And I don't mind one bit to
Yeah, I
stand up
mean,
for that.
it's bad enough that you're going into a situation that you rarely know too much, if anything, about.
Sure.
You don't know these people, you don't know whatever. You're sitting there doing your thing, and then to have somebody be, an ass to one of your court reporters or to yourself, you got to be able to stick up for yourself.
Right. And this is what I say. This is really important part of that. You can do it in a professional way,
Hmm.
even if the other party, whoever that may be, is not being professional. You can do it in a professional way, but you also need to be confident and know your rules so
Hmm.
that you can confidently push back and say, no, Mr. Such and such, these are my rules. I'm sticking to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You
I've
know,
seen a lot of that with freelancers. I mean, it's a different animal than court, because I always have a judge there that's kind of looking out for me and making sure. So I that was the main reason I chose, even though I could have gone freelance and probably made more money. But for me, it was having that protection, right? And having somebody there that's going to watch over me. And, of course, the benefits and stuff were a big thing for me too. I like to have knowing how much money I have coming in every month.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
for
Well,
sure.
so, but as a firm owner, well, no, let me ask you first. I know you said that Texas has been having a shortage for quite a while. Do you feel like the change that's come along with the voice writing and stuff like that is making a dent?
I think that the need is great. Okay. But what I have seen just in the last 2 years, even like the number of voice writers that are coming out certified are coming out faster and more in
Hmm.
numbers as far as that goes.
Right. Do you
Texas,
think
we
that,
only
yeah,
test 4 times a year. So,
okay.
that, that's a consideration as well. So,
And you don't need to have your national certification.
no, for Texas, it's same. You got to have your Texas certification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know North Carolina just changed some things to where, um, it used to be you had to have your CVR, your national certification, to be an official, and
Mhm.
now they're saying, okay, if you've been working in Texas, you have your Texas CSR, you've been doing it for 10 years, you don't have to have your CVR to work in North Carolina now.
Right.
So that makes it really, really nice to be able to bring somebody in here that's an experienced court reporter and can work right away. Um,
Yeah.
what about how is your pay structure, as far as, is it pretty much same across the board? Do people get to say, hey, this is how much I charge, or how do you do that?
So we do it a couple of different ways. Actually, we have our own rates, right? That our court reporters, if you're going to work under our rates, and then we have many court reporters who submit their own invoices and have their own rates as well. And so, we obviously, the court reporters that work under our rates, we're using them more consistently, and we have kind of a different relationship with them and building that rapport with them over the years. And so, but really, when I talk to a new reporter or new to my firm reporter, not necessarily a baby, but
Mhm.
new to my firm, you know, it's really up to them. Everybody's works for yourself. You are your own business now too, and so you set whatever rate is fair for you. and what
Okay.
you feel like you're worth, right? And so, we have no problem accepting other court reporters' rates, and um, so we kind of have two processes. You either work on our rates or you submit an invoice with your own rates.
Okay, that makes sense to me. And so, as a firm owner, what is it that you're looking for someone that comes in and or calls you or emails you and says, "Hey, I'm a new court reporter. I'm new to Texas. Whatever." What are the most important things that you look for in that person?
Well, I mean, reliability, communication, professionalism, accuracy obviously is a given, show up early, turn in clean transcript, respond to messages. Like, we have had resources ghost us in the past where we're waiting on a transcript, clients waiting, and we're kind of in the middle. They give us a
Mhm.
day, and it's a back
Yeah.
and forth, and then we just stop hearing. Like that is such a sickening feeling, right? Because we're
Oh
kind of in the
God.
middle of that. And so it's like, yeah, maintain high standards. Maintain high standards for yourself and for me. Because I'm
Absolutely.
putting my trust into someone that's going to go out there and represent me and my company the same way I would. And that's why I know pretty much all of the court reporters who are working for my clients.
Are you having more in person than you
We
have?
and in person is coming back. We have in persons all the time. It's regular. It's coming back. What I've noticed, at least with my work, is a lot of like the bigger cases. Some of those are going back in person, or if there's like very document intensive
Right, right.
or exhibits or whatever,
Yeah,
that's
right.
difficult to do via Zoom. And, each one has its little quirks or challenges, but, here's the thing. What I think is really funny is that we have reporters that are coming into the industry for the first time in a remote world. And
Mhm.
so back in the day, I know it sounds old and shit, but like back in the day, like remote was few and far between. I had
Yeah.
one client who never wanted to leave his office. So he always wanted to do remote, but that was one only. Everything was in person, everything was
Yeah.
paper exhibits, everything was paper bound transcripts. Like COVID changed all of that.
Yeah, I mean,
And
when I did my first freelance job, I was like, do I have to buy a binder? And it's not like that anymore. Obviously, you just don't have to go through all that. But it was so interesting and I still wouldn't. Like if I retire in the next 2 years, I still want to do some work.
yeah.
And that means freelance. And I got to learn the ins and out. I have zero idea what an O and one is. I have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like, okay, so that's an original. Let me see if I got this right. That's an original order and then one copy. And is the copy half price or different? How do they do that?
So the original in one copy is essentially that's what is billed to the ordering or the noticing or custodial attorney.
Hmm.
Okay, but it's basically the original because you would have to seal and certify the original for trial, and then the one is a certified copy, working copy that they utilize. So
I
that's
see.
just really one transcript cell.
I
Okay,
see.
the
Okay.
ordering attorney, the noticing attorney gets the O and one. The O and one, it's a one thing by itself.
Okay.
Then when
So
you get
if
into
any,
two and three, O and fours, O and nines, those are copies.
I see what you're saying now. So I guess the biggest thing for me is in the freelance world, you get to see everything leading up to the trial if the trial goes, and
Right.
then I get to see the end of it.
Yeah.
I get to see the fruits of y'all's labor. Like for me, I can't tell you how many trials I've been in that saying, here's a deposition that we did. We're admitting that as exhibit number, whatever. And I always wonder, do I know the court reporter that did it? But I've also had like the videotaped. I had one trial that had 4 videotaped depositions and they were admitted. They were admitted as exhibits, but they were also considered testimony.
Mm.
Instead of calling somebody to the stand, they just admitted those
Yeah.
those depositions as testimony,
Right. And
which
a lot of my clients tell them at the beginning, you just took an oath, the same way it carries for perjury. I can
right.
use your testimony in lieu of calling you live for trial.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me because I've had people even sit with me that say, "Oh my God, it's so weird. I get to see the end of it now. For years I've been doing depositions. Now I want to be an official and, whatever's
It's so
going
crazy.
on with that."
My whole world has been freelance forever. And I used to say, oh man, court scares me to death. Like that. I would never do court. I
Right.
would never do court. And I mean, I loved it when I did it. I don't know if I could do
Mhm.
it every day because I like my freelance flexibility.
Yeah, yeah, I get
Uh,
that.
yeah, yeah. But man, I really enjoyed it the times I've done it. And this last time I filled in, it was so fast. I felt like I could go and like pass the certification test right
I
off of
know.
Friday.
It's unbelievable how I just had somebody shadow with me, a student, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm just struggling. I can't get
Ugh,
past that 180 with even with voice." And she went in and sat down and I kind of looked over at her and she was keeping up and it was a good 200 to 250 easily, and she was keeping up with it. Now, was everything dropping the way? No, she still needed dictionary help and stuff like that.
right.
But she was doing her thing and she felt more comfortable being faster after shadowing with somebody. I mean, do you get a lot of requests for people to sit and shadow with your
Oh,
reporters to see?
I had someone shadow me today, and she's shadowing again tomorrow. I have a lot of reporters, either like students in exiting speeds or, newly like they pass waiting on their cert number. And I highly recommend shadowing because you just don't know what you don't know.
Hmm.
Right. If you're not coming in this with industry experience and, um, not to be funny or anything, but, a court reporter, new court reporter, had asked me,
Hmm.
"Oh, we're supposed to swear in the witness," and it's like, "Well, oh yes, absolutely." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so little things like that. Plus, you get a chance to work out your kinks and your technical and your sound and all of the things, and
Yeah.
kind of get some troubleshooting under your belt before you're out on your own.
Yeah, because that's the one thing that you have zero control with. You could walk into something, have your dictionary ready, your voice sounds great, you've done everything you're supposed to, then you go turn something on and you get an error, and you're like, what the hell?
What the
Yeah.
hell?
What the hell?
What the
Yes.
hell?
I mean, I know I have that all the time. And that's another thing different than freelance, not better, but different, is I have the same courtroom
Mhm.
every day. So my setup is always the same. I know what is ideal. I know where I need to set my volumes, the whole 9 yards. And
Mhm.
so it kind of scared me because I think the first deposition I did was in a doctor's office after hours on an exam table.
I was about to say there have been some really crazy depot locations.
Mhm.
It's almost like anything goes. We need to get the testimony, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But then you walk around with a suitcase that weighs 500 pounds because you don't know what you're going to need for
right.
that, or I used to walk in and they'd say, "Are you one of the attorneys?" And I don't know if it's because I looked like I was an attorney, whatever that is, or I just had enough shit with
Thanks.
me. Like all the exhibits, I had
Yeah.
the kitchen sink in there too.
Yeah,
So,
but no, anytime anyone else to shadow, I am all for it. My clients don't have any problem with it. Maybe if it was a confidential case or something like that, I would reconsider. But honestly, I didn't really. There's not many voice writers in Texas, and so being able to find one that you can shadow in person and things like that. And shadowing machine writers is great too, but there are some things that are different for voice writers. And so,
absolutely.
you know,
Sorry. Sorry, dogs.
so yeah, and so being able to shadow another voice writer, I feel like, it gives you that little extra because I always tell them different little tips about the fans and the sponges and just,
Mhm. Well,
uh,
do you when you have people that shadow, are they at a particular point, or do you think they should be at a particular point before they shadow? Because I've heard from some students that their school or whatever, they don't want them to shadow until they hit 180 or 200.
Hmm.
I don't personally see what the problem would be, but
Listen, if somebody wants to shadow and they feel like they want to shadow, I'm all for it.
yeah, I mean, to me, it would be like, okay, I really like the court setting. I really like the repetition. I like all that stuff. Or I really like making my own schedule. Now, once again, I'm this boring old lady, but I wanted to know what my paycheck's going to be. Do I have, can I get my glasses? Can I get my, yearly dental stuff done, I mean, and uncover, you know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
so that was really important to me. And I think I knew all along I wanted to be, but I did shadow both. I wanted to make sure. I would shadow with Tori and we'd go on things together. And, one of the joys of living in a state that's very voice friendly, I have tons of voice people that I can sit with, but I also sat with a machine writer.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I mean, you get valuable information and experience either way. You know.
And I lately it's been people who don't live here because of either social media or the podcast or whatever. They say, "Hey, can I shadow you remotely to be able to do that?" I prefer not to because I don't think you get as much out of it.
Mhm.
Just depending on your audio system, but yeah, it's great to be able to sit down and see what the real world is like. And in that respect, seeing what the real world is like, how you're a new reporter, how do you get out there? What's the best places to go to market yourself, to mingle with other people? Where can I go network and all that good stuff at? What do you think is important for them to do?
Well, definitely get involved. Get involved with your local, state, national associations. There are constant events going on where you can just pay, a non-member fee to attend.
Hmm.
And, you know, your network is your net worth. And so the more you put yourself out there and the more people you know and the bigger your network grows, the more opportunities will come your way inevitably. It is just you know it will happen. And so there are different conferences, there's judge conferences, there's so many different things that any way that you feel you can fit in and get involved, that's going to help you get your name out there for sure.
What was your first convention? Did I was last because I met you last year in San Antonio. Was that your first national one?
That was my first MVRA.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but as a firm owner, I've sponsored a lot of conventions over the years, and
Okay.
or attended for, as a firm owner we have to get CE credits as well, and
Mhm.
so I would also attend the conventions before I was certified as a court reporter to get those continuing education credits to maintain my firm registration.
Sure, sure.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
the going to, I mean, I went to
There's
Tampa and then I went to San Antonio. Those are the only two national conventions I've been to. North Carolina, as an official, they give us our CE hours by our own conference, our North Carolina one. So I never thought to go to the national one. First of all, I thought it was super expensive.
Mhm.
And as a new reporter, I was like, I can't afford this. I mean, maybe if it came closer, yeah, but it was overwhelming. And then when I was asked to speak at the one in Tampa, then okay, that made a difference. I went there and I made such good friends that they're now my people. You know what I'm saying? They're the
That's
people that we hang out, we go and we did conventions together, and you have to step up this year. You especially you have rolled into NVRA like a gangster. You're coming in and you're like, here I am, here you go, pew pew. But
doo doo, guns a
yeah,
blazing.
I know,
Well,
but
I'll tell you what, MVRA, honestly, that has been over all the conventions in all the years. Honestly, that San Antonio convention. It was one of the best for me. It was one of the most informative. It provided the best resources, connections. I met so many people that have
Mhm.
helped me
Yeah.
and that have become friends and just expanded that network. But being in a national association that is centered around voice writers or verbatim reporters, that was such a big difference. That was huge because there's so many.
Everybody's nice.
Everybody's
Everybody was.
nice, and not only that, they are very knowledgeable about, you know, software, technique, skills, all of these things, and such a supportive community.
Yeah.
That the MVRA convention by far was the best. I got the most out of it. I made the best connections and
Mhm.
resources there.
Agreed. I
Yeah.
mean, both years were just spectacular for me. And then unfortunately, getting sick and everything I've had to go through, I've had to step away. But I really enjoyed my time, especially working with membership, because that's just kind of my
You're
thing.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I love to talk to people and I love to be out there, and recruiting is still a big thing for me, but I don't have the stamina that I used to. Hopefully within the next I'm really hoping that 2026 is a good year for me, because
It's gonna be.
the
It
last
will.
ones have been shit. But I have people that I am friends with now that I met in Tampa, and then California when I went there, and then in San Antonio, that it just keeps building onto it and building that networking and being able to do that. And I think, and I'm sure you do too, because you are involved in NVRA, how important it is for people to donate their time.
Oh
And
man. I did jump in with both feet because like I said, part of this passion was because I wanted to get involved. I wanted to be an advocate and participate, but you know, associations like this, absolutely, volunteerism is critical. And
mhm,
we need the members to get involved because everyone has such a different perspective. and
mhm.
and that's great because you bring all of those perspectives to the table and start collaborating, and you can come up with some pretty amazing things.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
yeah, we need the volunteerism, even helping with proctoring and getting that weekend with you guys in Breckenridge changed my life.
Mhm. Yeah, it was
I mean,
crazy. I mean, the fact that you were willing to jump on a plane at the last minute and help out and, get altitude sickness and
yeah.
everything.
Oh my God, I
I know.
know. I know. I know.
We're
But
low
you know what?
country
I will
people.
tell you, when I flew to Ontario to take my CVR, okay,
Mhm.
and I remember that Jill and Linda were there doing the testing, and I just remember leaving that weekend because it was just a ball of nerves this
Yeah, yeah.
whole time. Oh my God, did I put this on my thumb drive? Did I do this or whatever?
It's a lot.
Anyway, Jill was so amazing, and I told her later after I'd gotten to know her and after that weekend that like she totally was my angel that day.
Mhm.
And that's what I
Yeah,
mean about such a kind and supportive and caring community. And that's
yeah,
really, I think, what my attraction there is, and my
yeah.
willingness to be on 4 committees and the board and whatever.
Well, and you can only do what you can do, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're not getting paid for it. Your payment is being there and helping people out. That's your payment. But people have to understand, like with me, I'm a different situation with with my cancer and everything. I'm going through so much that I had to step back. There are people where they end up, life happens. Shit happens. You get divorced.
Yeah.
Your kids are doing whatever, and you have to back away from certain things. It doesn't mean we don't want to do it anymore.
No, and it
It just
doesn't
that
mean
you
that
can't.
when things and circumstances change that you're not going to be right back there with the same love and
Absolutely.
passion. And Kim, I think that I know that I was born to be of love and service, and I absolutely think that you are too. And
I am. I
you
have
know,
been that way for a long time. I just want to teach, and doing my mentor mentee stuff, and doing my job, being in court every day, and then recording, this kind of stuff is fun for me. This is not work,
yeah.
even I'm getting to the point now to where I can edit things and make it faster, but this is the stuff I love, right? So I've got room for my family, my job, and my two little fun things that I do, which is my mentor mentee stuff and this. And so
And that's
I
an
think,
amazing group. It's growing every day, and like you are helping so many people.
well, like I tell everybody else, that what I'm teaching you is what works for me. If it doesn't work for you, you're not going to hurt my feelings. You find what works for you. And there are tons of people out there, a lot of my friends that do things different.
And that's what I was saying about bringing all of these different points of view to the table, because
Hmm.
you really do learn. And it doesn't matter how long you've been in this industry or how, well you write, you still learn from other people. And, you know,
You know what I was thinking about the other day was because somebody had asked a question on, I think it was Facebook, about can students be a part of the board, which they can't. But wouldn't it be great if there was a board student organization that they could be the ones that, I don't know, go out and get everything printed and bring it to sessions, and takes that little work off of other people, and at the same time it introduces them to giving of their time, and they drink the Kool-Aid, right? You're
right.
drinking the
Yeah.
Kool-Aid now because you've been brought into this thing just a little bit, even if it's going out and grabbing a bunch of pens from somewhere
Right.
and
It's a
bringing it in.
purpose. Right.
It's a purpose, and those little ankle biters, I can tell you from last year, are the things that kill you, because you're like, "Oh crap, I forgot to get this and I forgot to get that." If you had somebody else that was a student that could be involved in that kind of board service, it really builds a foundation for them, and they want to do it. That's the crazy thing right now, and we've got this group of people that we can't even utilize yet,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, I
I
know.
mean, just something to think about. I know you're on the
Definitely.
board, and you're running, you're also running this year for next year, right?
President-elect.
Whoa, congratulations.
Thank
Good
you.
for you. I think you'll be awesome because you are very open-minded. You're a caring and a kind person, and you're able to get out there and really show a different perspective on things. So I
Yeah.
hope that all works out for you. But okay, so let's talk real quick about real time. That is always something that is brought up in mentor mentee group on Facebook, TikTok. I get all the time as people sending me messages. I want to get my real time. Do I get paid more for real time? How does that work in the freelance world?
Yes, absolutely. Real time is super valuable skill. And I would always absolutely support anybody who wants to get their real time improve, get certified, because like if I know that I'm sending a real time writer, even if it's not a real time job, and a lot of my clients have rushes and rough drafts all the
Hmm.
time. It is not just like it's all the time.
Right,
Literally.
right.
And so if you're not writing real time, you're going to struggle to get that transcript out, even with the help of a scopus and a proofreader and all of these things. And you definitely need that support as well. But real time is a skill that is just absolutely valuable
Hmm.
in any circumstance. But yes, so when we have daily copy arbitrations, those rates are through the roof.
Oh, I bet.
Okay, well, you're getting same day
Yeah,
final. Okay,
yeah.
and so we have some of those go on for 6 or 8 weeks at a time, and it's daily copy, real time connections. I mean, you are in the money.
Yeah, and if you have to have that money, because then you're paying, if you're smart, you're paying a
Sure.
scopist who can connect with you
Yep,
on your software and be editing while you're taking down. So
that
when
is
you get home,
exactly right.
all you have to do is proofread that bitch and send it out instead of
And you can
staying
even
up.
have a proofreader on Connection Magic or whatever your bridge or whatever
Exactly.
is too, right behind you
Yeah.
as well. And it's a business and it's a machine, but you are billing so much at that point that it's worth that, because you can
Yeah.
turn out that work and you can go have dinner.
Yeah. You could
Huh.
say hi to your kids.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
Imagine that. And so it
Yeah.
is completely worth the investment of time. It's worth the investment in money and training. It is absolutely worth the dedication, because it will benefit you. Yes, you will make more money. And not only that, you're going to have more opportunities to make more money.
Yeah. Absolutely. Your
You
name's
know,
getting out there. They're going to, I mean, you're going to be this rock star that walks away on a red carpet going, look
yep.
what I just did, and those attorneys are going to turn around and call you and say, let me tell you something. This girl blew it out of the water. I want her every single time.
And let me tell you something. I know some rock star reporters who do just that
Hmm.
every day. That's the only type of work that they take. And they're making sometimes twice as much as the attorneys.
I believe that. I
Oh,
believe
yeah,
it.
girl.
I
It's
believe it.
out there.
As somebody had posted on Facebook the other day, they just made their last payment on their software.
Hmm.
And they'd only been working for 6 months, but she was not afraid to put herself out there to get the bucks, right? Because when you pay off something or you buy a new car with that first big check, or you do something, buy a house or what, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just but it's you putting that time and energy into it, right?
And it's hard work. That's why I
Hmm.
said, like, all these years I never wanted to be a reporter because, gosh, they work too hard.
Yeah. But you get to a point to where you don't have to.
Right. And there
Same
comes
with
the real time.
Yeah, same with my previous life. I started out as a hairdresser and I was working 6 days a week, all day long, and I may do one haircut, after a 12-hour day. Doesn't matter. I was sitting there with the lights on and ready to take anybody to come sit in my chair. And then
Right.
I got to the point where I only had to work 3 days a week. I was slammed. I
Yeah.
could barely walk at the end of the day, but now I've got a 5-day weekend, that I can do nothing. So it's the same with court reporting, and you're getting that way too. I literally got caught up with all of my transcripts before I started radiation, and then now I'm sitting here. I told you this before, waiting for scoping opportunities to come. Because I like my extra money.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
then I'm still in a situation right now where I'm kind of scared to put myself out there and let them down because I'm having a day I'm not feeling well.
Right.
So it'll get better after that. But,
It will get
it
better.
is what it is. But have you ever had someone who works with you? Let's look at the flip side of this, that works with you or for you that attorneys don't want around anymore?
Oh, yeah.
What are the reasons for that? Well, I mean, but
So
besides
the
being
conflict, I
unprofessional.
mean, sometimes it's just strictly a conflict of personality, but a lot of times we've had some. I'll just give you some recent examples.
Okay.
Soon it's a remote deposition. As soon as the parties get on, the reporter immediately asks, "How long is this going to take?"
Hmm.
Well, that does not make them feel very important or that they're there to take down their record. As soon as, like, that's the first question that comes. It's
Right.
just different things. Um, they'll get argumentative about talking over the record, and that's why you have to kind of deal with those situations a little bit delicate, but like I said, be confident and professional, you
Right.
know. And but we've had attorneys call and say, never send that lady back. And so, depending on what the situation is, sometimes we'll put them on the do not call list. And then sometimes I'm like, listen, I understand. I apologize. I've been working with this court reporter for 15 years. And,
Mm.
I will definitely look into it and we'll make that, note. But that
Right.
doesn't mean just because someone calls and says that, because, these depositions get heated. And
Yeah.
so sometimes it's a bad day for,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And
And
everybody
it's
has
like,
one.
I've been working this reporter for 15 years. I know her and I won't put her back on your depot, you know,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to stop using her because of that.
No, everybody has a bad day. You don't ever know what somebody's got going on in their personal life. You
Right.
just you're not in their shoes. So if you have a bad day, you have a bad day and apologize. I wouldn't be the same thing with, as you said, I would not be able to put up with somebody going, how long is this going to take? I got
Just,
places to
or
go.
like, I'm going to have to get off at 4 o'clock, whether you're done or not.
Yeah, I had somebody sub for me. I know. I had somebody sub for me in court, and that was the first thing she asked a judge she had never met before. Are we going to be here Friday?
Oh my God. Yeah. But see, that's cringy to me because I'm very customer service oriented as
Yeah,
well.
me
But
too.
I also am mindful of my reporters and their work life balance and them being respected as well. But like,
Exactly.
it's a delicate balance, and from a firm owner's perspective, I got clients on both sides. That's what I feel like. I need to make sure the reporter's happy, and I need to make sure that my client is happy as well. And some
Yeah.
days, boy, it isn't it.
Yeah.
Some
It's
days,
some days, I know, and, my judge who told me that, I said, "Well, what'd you tell her?" She said, "Well, we weren't going to, but we are now gonna be
oh,
here on Friday," and
exactly.
yes, and I'm like, "See, you just screwed yourself
You screwed the
on
pooch there,
this.
lady.
Yeah, you just need to learn to shut the hell up and do your job and that's important. I think that's the main thing that I got from you today or tonight is talking about that professionalism and customer service, doing your job, doing everything you need to do to make the client happy, but if you have to step in, be professional about it. There's ways to do it. I used to be able to tell my students that their haircuts sucked. I've never seen color that ever looked worse in my life. But you're going to be better at this because I see that potential. So there's a way to say things to people
Sure.
that they can. You're still professional about it.
Yeah, and freelancers should be open to feedback and support,
Yeah,
from firm owners or whatever. Know who you're working with. Know what your pay is before you take that job. Know what the structure is. Set those expectations on the front end. You deserve it, and you owe it to yourself to do that.
sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think everything that we've talked about has to do with building your own business because that's what you're freelancing. You've got to market yourself. You've got to build that reputation. You've got to be professional. You've got to dress professional. The world is changing. You're no longer going to be able to sit 5 days a week all day long with your jammy pants and your bunny slippers and a nice
Right.
shirt on because people want to see you in person for the most part now.
Hmm.
So go out and buy you a nice suit and
Yeah.
I don't
And
even know how to
listen, this
say it
is
better.
very much a relationship. This freelance world is very much a relationship business. Okay.
Mhm.
My clients will be used, they'll specifically request reporters as well. Like, I really like working with Sarah, and please send
Mhm.
Sarah on my jobs. And I really think it is beneficial to have like this mutual growth mindset between the freelancer and the firm owner, because that is an important relationship as well. And if you approach it that way, as a relationship, as a partnership, and not just a transaction, I think you're going to get a better experience. Because
Yeah.
I've also heard some horror stories about reporters not getting paid, or I mean, just the gamut.
It can go anywhere. It can go either way. And just like every other job, it's not just conducive to court reporting, but every other job you have good days, you have bad days. Whether you're on a machine or your voice, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. That's just the way it is. And we're all in the end, we're all court reporters. That's what it is that we do. And it's up to you to push yourself to get those letters behind your name. If that's important to you and you need to have that, do it. Do it just for shits and giggles. You got those letters behind your name now. So I am just so happy that we could do this and that you are going into a different territory than you have before with the national organization. And I think you're making a difference in Texas and you're going to make a difference nationally too. And hopefully at some point this next year, maybe I'll be able to slip in and help out with some things too when you come in as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I really enjoyed getting involved. Anybody that wants to get involved definitely should get involved. It really is. It is a lot of work, and it is volunteerism, but it's worth it. And I'm really hoping to, over the next year and coming into other positions on the board, to be able to focus on more community outreach and you know more engagement
Recruitment. Yeah, recruit
with
them. Go. You got to
members.
start
And
young, you
yes,
know.
right,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And
I saw one the other day for a middle school. They have a career fair where it's like show and tell, for careers. And more middle schools are doing this. And to get out there and show them what it is a court reporter is, whether it's a machine or voice, it doesn't matter. Go out there and share, and they are fascinated.
That's what I was going to say. There, you always see like the big eyes and the
Mhm.
mouth agape because they're like, "Wow!" And
Yeah.
yes, it's
You gotta think too
amazing.
that these young people they talk to text all the time, all day long.
Oh, right, yeah.
Let's teach them how to hook it up to some software and to learn some briefs and to be able to go as fast as they can. I mean, it to me, that's my end of it. That's my soapbox that I got on. But listen, it's getting late. You have work tomorrow. I have work tomorrow. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate you so much for coming in and talking to me. And we'll let everybody know how to reach you in the Houston area if you need some more reporters.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, honey.
All
Thanks so
right, Kim.
much.
Thank you. Love
Have a
you.
great rest of the week, and I love you too.